Imagine if you could predict your opponent's next move before they even made it. What if you had the power to read their minds and counter every play with ease?
It's all about instinct.
Welcome to the ultimate guide on mastering opponent tendencies in football games. Whether it's EA Sports College Football 25, the new Madden 25, or any other football game. My boys, what's the word? I'm going to reveal some game-changing strategies that'll give you the upper hand against any opponent, whether you a seasoned vet like me or you just starting out. It really doesn't matter. Let's jump straight to it. First, let's talk about recognizing patterns. In football, just like in real life, players have habits and preferences. These can range from their favorite plays to their go-to formations. When you start a game, pay close attention to their play calling, especially on critical downs. Notice how my opponent chooses to run the ball out of a passing formation. Every time he came out in a run-heavy formation, he would pass the ball, and vice versa. The very next play he decides to come out in a run formation, I play heavy pass coverage, and that allowed me to get the game-sealing interception. Recognizing patterns like this lets you anticipate and counter their strategies effectively. If you've played any football game in your life, you know that most players stick to a handful of formations that they feel the most comfortable with. For example, if they come out in a formation that you're already familiar with, you probably already know the go-to plays in that formation. Be conscious of the plays that your opponent is picking. I'm not saying you gotta get a notepad and start writing down the plays and formations and all, but just be cognizant of it. Now let's talk about adjustments. Football is all about adaptability. It's chess, not checkers. Meaning every move you make has to be deliberate and has a cause behind it. For example, if I'm running the ball to the right consistently, obviously if I'm going against a decent player, he's going to start adjusting, putting a safety down in the box on the right side, shifting his linebackers to the right, shifting his defensive line to the right, or whatever he has to do in order to stop that. Or if I come out in a certain formation and I only run the ball and never pass, then it makes it way easier for him that he doesn't even have to come out in the pass coverage or have any threat of the pass, so he can stack the box and come out and run blitzes the entire game every time he sees that I come out in that formation. So another thing you want to do that a lot of people don't talk about is matching personnel. If you see your opponent coming out in a single back formation with 3 tight ends, why would you think he's about to pass it? 9 times out of 10, he's going to run a ball. And even if he does pass the ball, he doesn't have the personnel to outrun your defenders if you come out with linebackers instead of cornerback. And that's a big mistake I see a lot of players making. They come out and dime when their opponent's coming out in strong, close, or I formation strong or I formation power. Whatever the case is, match the personnel. Do not come out with 6 defensive backs versus 5 linemen and 3 tight ends. Now let me give you an example of a cat and mouse game I was playing with my opponent. Before I tell you how I set him up, try to figure out what I was looking at before I tell you.
Wants to throw on third. Got the back over the middle.
That's why they were able to convert the third down, now setting up 1st and goal.
The back goes in motion. Back to pass, it's Duffy. Gets it out quickly. Touchdown, San Diego State. And that one will put him up.
Let me know if you got it right or wrong in the comments below. Every time I came out in gun split, I noticed that anytime I ran a play that my running back was in motion, he would run to that side with his user. First, he wasn't doing that. So I started hitting that running back on the motion every time. Once he started using my running back in motion, that's when I would go to the opposite side and just set up plays from there with my opposite running back. It's probably impossible to predict the computer's tendencies because the way the AI is set up in this game, in most football games, if you play against people online or just friends in general. The best examples of learning your opponent's tendencies is in the NFL, the divisions. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. The Vikings play the Bears, Packers, and Lions multiple times a year. They don't switch it up that much. They know each other's tendencies. They don't switch up the entire playbook or things like that. All they really are doing when they're watching film, they're trying to find their opponent's tendencies and they're trying to figure out the tendencies that the opponent are going to predict that they will do. So it's a cat and mouse game and they try to tweak it from there. It goes deep in football, and that's why I say it's not checkers, it's chess. The main thing you need to know When you go against opponents online for the first time in, let's say, Madden online rigs head to head, you got to realize that you're not going to be playing that person over and over and over and over and over again. What does that mean? That means you have to lock in instantly and start figuring out what he likes to do and taking notice of it. You in an online franchise, that's completely different. You might want to pull out that notepad and start marking plays that your opponent's running, especially if you're going against multiple players in the same division multiple times a year. My advice for you, if you're in an online franchise in a situation like that, have at least 2 or 3 different offensive playbooks and schemes that you like to run. Same with defense. The more schemes and formations that you can get the hang of and down pat, and the less predictable you will be. The worst thing you can ever be in football is one-dimensional. So make sure you're always switching up the pass with the run. When you're in your run formations, make sure you have at least 1 or 2 passing plays that you can access at any moment if you see certain defensive coverages. Here's a free tip. Sometimes I'll come out in a formation that I know I'm going to run heavy in and come out the first 2 or 3 plays passing. So when I come in that formation, he's going to be in a passing coverage, and then I'm going to just start running the ball down his throat. No diddy. The same goes for defense. I'm going to be even more deadly with the defensive shells that they added to college football in Madden 25. Let me give you an example how to set it up. First play, come out in a cover 3 with a disguised cover 3 shell. So he's going to be like, okay, he's running cover 3. After he sees, if he's going against an opponent that knows how to read defense, he's going to read your defense and be like, oh, he coming out in a cover 3 shell. Once he snaps the ball and see that you actually ran cover 3, he might assume that you don't know about the shell defense. Now you still have it disguised as cover 3. Now you come out in a cover 2 or 2-man under or a cover 1, depending on what you see that he's running, the formations, the personnel. And that's the cat and mouse game. Pre-snap, he's going to believe it's cover 3, but post-snap, he's going to have to make the reads, and that's going to shave off at least a second or 2. You never want somebody to know exactly where they're going with the ball. You always want to have a disguised defense. Once you get somebody to second guess, you already in there, bro. You won. Once you start mixing it up on defense and offense, where they don't know if you running the ball, passing the ball, they don't know the formation that you in, giving 0 tails for them on offense and defense with the coverages and run plays and the pass plays, you're going to be unstoppable. There y'all go. Mastering your opponent's tendencies will take you to the point of domination. Remember, it's not just about your skills, but how well you know your opponent and how well you know the game of football. If you watched all the way up to this point, I appreciate you so much. Make sure you hit that like button and the subscribe button. That's what helped me out the most. If you want to support the channel, I appreciate the love. And if you want to dominate the passing attack, make sure you watch the video that I posted on how to read defenses.